Being held without bond this morning, he's been accused of threatening two people with a gun in a road rage incident caught on camera in Port St Lucie. Police say 63-year-old Paul Slane hit the brakes in traffic and the truck following him had to stop abruptly. They say the victims tried to go around Slane, who followed and harassed them all the way to their gated home in a gated community. Police say Slane got out, threatened the couple with a gun while shouting obscenities, all as the woman in the passenger seat recorded on her phone. Police and the victims are uncertain of why Slane was so angry.
We haven't really been able to lock that down, what exactly set him off, but who knows, it could have been a bad day, his goldfish could have died.
Should I shoot him?
The video also shows the victim driving, also had the gun in his lap. At one point he asked, "Should I shoot him?" Investigators say Slane tried to grab the woman's phone as it was recording. Slane is now being held in the St. Lucie County Jail.
Well, holy crap. Mickey with CarryTrainer.com. Let's talk about what we just watched. I'm going to give you the lowdown. 63-year-old man faces multiple charges after pointing a gun at two people in another vehicle during a road rage incident in Port St Lucie. The incident occurred at about 4:30 p.m. in the 1200 block of Southwest Briarwood Drive. Police said the suspect, Paul Slane, drove his black Mercedes aggressively around the victim's truck while pointing a handgun threw them out the open window. Police said that Slane also struck the passenger and the driver, it sounds like, while demanding she give him her cell phone because she had recorded the incident. Authorities also said that Slane fled the scene but was located by St. Lucie County deputies a short time later. They said that a handgun that was used in the incident was recovered. He right now is facing 2 counts of aggravated assault, with a deadly weapon, attempted armed robbery, and 2 counts of simple battery. He, as of today, is held at the St. Lucie County Jail without bond. Shared that on the Instagram channel this morning, and this space, this like self-prepared Second Amendment, shoot my gun, carry my gun space. A lot of comments on there that I think are worth noting. A couple things. Did a podcast today with a friend of mine. We were talking about the advent of social media has made us all experts in everything. We're not experts in everything. We all know something about some things, but we're definitely not experts. In my opinion, I would not weigh judgment or make a decision about a life and death situation based on a few seconds of a video clip. So this guy's going to go to court, and I guarantee the prosecutor is going to use this video against him, but there's going to be more to it. As we noted here, he passed the pickup truck. So we know the vehicle was behind them. He caught up to them, and it sounded like some road rage incident just blew up. Where I'm going with that is this. One, this incident or any incident like it, to take a tiny sliver of information and say, I do this, I do that. What led up to it? One, if the guy passed me, I would have just kept on driving. As soon as he put that car in park, drive on. He's boxed in. I made some notes here. These are the comments I put on the Instagram account. You're boxed in, really? You would rather trade bullets or sit and argue with somebody who's already showed you that they are off kilter, a lunatic, on drugs, homicidal, based on the information they're giving you, driving past you, waving a gun, cutting you off. I'm going to have to believe that this person's not right in the head. As such, I need to make choices accordingly. What's important now? Coach Lou Holtz. We use this in every class. Win. What's important now? Well, number one thing is my safety, and more importantly, my family's safety. In this video, I don't know if there was any children or anybody else in the car, but we know that his wife was the one running the cell phone. That's very important to me. Me engaging with you out the window while I know you've already acted like a moron isn't going to fix things. I'm going to use that throttle and I'm going to drive away. So some folks said, well, he's boxed in. Really? You would rather engage in an argument with a guy with a gun and possibly trade bullets versus scratch some paint? Come on now. Come on. And to me, I drive a 1-ton pickup truck. I've drove drove pickup trucks for the last 30 years. I could have drove right through there without scratching anything. Food for thought. Bullets, for those of you that said, I would have just laid him out. I'd have smoked him. I'd have shot him in the face, 2 to the body, 1 to the head, blah, blah, blah. Well, bullets are not magic off switches. Regardless of what you have been told, or even your own personal experience, even if you've been involved in violence, there are thousands and thousands and thousands of instances where people are shot with handgun rounds and they go on to live. In fact, most people shot by handgun rounds go on to live. This isn't Mickey's opinion. This is codified data. Most people shot by handgun rounds go on to keep living. That said, there are plenty of people that do get shut right off. But once we start firing bullets, now we've got some real issues. Every round that leaves my gun, I'm responsible for. Now, a police officer commented on that video and said, if my round goes and hurts somebody or hits a house or something, this guy in the street made me do that. They might have made me do it, but I'm still responsible. If I shot and killed your kid who was playing in the backyard, I have to live with that. Is the totality of the situation such that I must fire my gun? We'll come back to that. You're in a large box. Like right now, I'm sitting as I'm talking to you. I've trained sitting and shooting. USPSA, IDPA matches, there's plenty of training done from this position. And in our diminished position class, we train shooting from the sitting position. We train from our back. We train from our side. We train from our tummy. So I've got some training shooting from a diminished position. If you're playing football, basketball, hockey, soccer, movement is key, right? If I am a boxer that does not move his feet doesn't win boxing matches. In fact, if you go train any striking art or grappling art, footwork is where everything begins because movement is life. Movement is key. I am changing angles to get an advantageous angle to attack my opponent. As well, by changing angles, I put them at a disadvantage where they have to reorient to me, or I allow myself a line where I can slip in and strike, right? Or do my takedown or clinch or whatever it is I'm doing. Being trapped in a vehicle, I lose the ability to move. In fact, not only do I lose the ability to move, but I have done nothing to impede my opponent's ability to move. In fact, they can move and I cannot. So that guy could just take a couple steps one way or another, and I'm shooting through the pillars of the car. I'm trying to track and shoot a target while I am just stuck. And all he needs to do is point at the open window. What other problem is there? Well, if the bad guy is where you are, the camera, and I am the driver of that truck, who's holding the camera? My beloved bride back here, which means that any round that even impacts me is probably going to go through me and into her. Definitely the ones that are slipping past me have a high probability of hitting her. So now I have engaged in a gunfight where the backstop behind me is the thing I care about most. What's important now? Get in a gunfight while my wife is behind me, because that's just like the movies, right? Or drive away. Okay, all right, that's a good one. We're in a neighborhood, so as I already touched on, children, houses, dogs, whatever, bullets. I mean, when we go to a shooting range, we put a big dirt berm up, right? Or if we're on an indoor range, a big steel or rubber trap, because we want to stop the bullet, right? I understand that the totality of true violence, we may have to fire a gun where there's other people, which is why proper bullet placement and proper bullet construction where the round dumps its energy and stops matters. I would weigh that out. I interviewed a guy a couple years ago that dumped a whole magazine and half of them just sprayed off into a neighborhood, into houses, okay? If I must employ lethal force, I hope that the training that I have is up to the task. I hope that I can do it. I hope that my ability to get that gun up in a manner that I can get the job done as quickly as possible to stop the threat. We're not firing guns to kill. Those of you that hear this and you're like, that's dumb, that's semantics. You may say that, but a mindset is still a mindset. And a prosecutor, a detective is going to try to figure out what your mindset was at the time. They're going to look at that footage. Oh, the prosecutor might say, sir, why didn't you drive away? It appears to me, and maybe to the jury, that you could have drove away. Did it dawn on you to drive away, or did you want to stay there and fight? And that, you might say, well, that's not what actually happened. You don't think a prosecutor might say that? Now, look, in the current world we live in, folks sometimes have said, Mick's a pacifist. He doesn't want to fight. You're right. I don't want to shoot a dude in the street over some idiotic crap related to small penis and a big ego, an overgrown ego. No, I've got a Mercedes and a big pocketbook or a big car payment, and I don't like what happened a couple miles down the road. Is that worth me trading my life over? No. Your comment might be, but he pushed me to do that. Look, I train people almost weekly with firearms. This is the life's work for me. I get it. But at the same time, on the same note, I want to do everything I can to not have to. We say this little phrase in this space, right? We win 100% of the fights that we don't engage in, right? A friend of mine just sent me a video of him. He and his wife do some process serving. They're private investigators, and they do some process serving. This guy's also a bad man. I don't mean bad as in criminal. This is a bad dude. This dude can do some stuff. Very high-level special operations dude with a fighting background. He had a dude pull a gun on him while he was off that guy's property and come walking menacingly up to him. His wife filmed it. This just happened in like the last 48 hours. I just saw the video. And it made me like, ooh, jeez. And this dude's walking towards him with a pistol in his hand, telling him to get off his property. And luckily, he was able to retreat to the car, drove away, no shots were fired. And he told me, he's like, man, I had the ability, positioning, blah, blah, blah. I probably would have easily got the job done. Discretion is the better part of valor, right? He made a good choice and Pop Smoke got out of there. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. Just because it's maybe justifiable doesn't mean you should. Now, depending on the totality of your experience, your life, your capabilities, the what, the why, the how, maybe fighting from that position is the best thing for you. I don't know. But based on the information that I have, drive on, drive on, drive on. You're in a larger, heavier vehicle. I have even a slow-moving car today. You know, somebody said to me, well, by driving past them, you're now at a tactical disadvantage where they are behind you. That's true, which is a lot better than them 8 feet, 5 feet away from me on my flank where I'm having to look over them. I'd rather you be 100 feet behind me. I've shot around enough human beings, even high-level police officers, SWAT guys, which isn't, you know, a stroke on them, to know that humans miss. I would much rather be shot at while I'm hauling ass away versus 4, 5, 8 feet away from you while I'm stuck in a seat. Much rather. The probability of one versus the other is much greater for me to get hit while I am static, arm's reach away from you. In fact, if you're going to let the guy put the gun on the edge of your window, if shooting's even part of your discussion at this point, you should have already got it done. You should have got it done. Use the gas pedal. But more importantly, let's go back even further. Let's put another coin in the time machine. At some point, some road rage shit came out. At some point, the driver of that vehicle put his weapon in his lap, if you noticed that. Could you not have turned down a side street? Now, in this space, a lot of guys, they say, when's enough enough? You got to stand up to these people. Sure, you want to die on that hill, either literally or figuratively, be my guest. What is my goal? Always one overarching goal for everything. It is to enjoy and to take part in this precious life. It doesn't matter if you were born into the worst home ever, where you were abused. If that happened to you, where you were impoverished and barely fed, you're here. And I'm sorry that happened. If you were born into the wealthiest home, surrounded by love and affection and nourishment, you're here. Either way, you are here. Let's make this ride enjoyable. Let's be good to ourselves and good to others. Don't seek violence. If it comes, be trained, be capable. If you must fight, fight. Fight. Fight with a vengeance. Make them understand they chose the wrong person, but do not be party to a fool's game. Do not be party to a fool's game. If you can drive on, honey, instead of filming me or film me, but call 911, all of our cars, I can just tell my truck, call 911, and it'll do it. I am in a such and such vehicle heading this way. There's a vehicle that looks like this. The guy's swerving around me. He's doing XYZ. At least I know I've got police on the way. If I'm forced to stop, I can tell him out the window, buddy, the cops are on the phone. They're on the way. Maybe that'll make him stop. Maybe it won't. But I am adding layers. I'm also, in a very positive way, trying to do the right thing. It's being filmed I'm doing the right thing. I'm not doing the right thing so that it looks like I'm doing the right thing, which there's a difference. I'm doing the right thing because I don't want to kill a man. I don't want to engage in violence that I don't have to. True self-defense, usually, when I say true self-defense, I'm not talking about where we are also adding fuel to the fire. Because once we do that, we start to take the credibility of self-defense, every little thing that could have made us lawful self-defenders, we start to take little bits of that away. You yelling back, you pushing, you adding those little bits of gasoline to the fire to keep fanning it. If you truly were trying to defend yourself, why didn't you just get away? Why didn't you try to diffuse it? Sir, I am really sorry about what happened earlier. You're right. You're right. I owe you an apology. Hey, how about we drive down the street, grab a beer? How about I buy you a cup of coffee? I'm sure you've got a family to get home to. This is my wife. We shouldn't be acting this way. Of course, if somebody's criminally insane, somebody's homicidal, you might not be able to have that conversation. So much of these situations can be cut off before they get to the point that we saw stuff going on here with this gun being pointed in this guy's face. That said, we have to be able to pull ourselves out of that situation just enough to say, what's important now? What do I got to do? What's important now needs to be based off the big picture. The totality is, I want to go home. This lady, I love her. We're going to have supper. We got a roast in the oven. We got dinner plans. We got kids at home. Geez, I got kids at home, which means that dad should not be locked up in jail or bleeding to death because of choices that I made or somebody else made. What do I have to do to win? To win, which doesn't always mean sending bullets. And I reiterate, if you have to, which is completely different than what a lot of these commenters are saying. If you have to, do it. Be justified and do it in a manner that no one that looks at the totality of the situation and all the facts at hand will say otherwise. They're going to say, geez, this sucked. But I understand why Bob, why Mick, why Jim, why Jenny, why whoever had to do it. Man, they were forced to. They didn't want to. I see why they did it. I understand. And that's what a jury is going to be tasked with. Knowing what you knew at the time, would a reasonable and prudent person do the same thing? That's the metric by which you're going to be judged. Not after you've had all the time in the world to weigh it out, watching the social media videos over and over. Right now, knowing what you knew. And in that moment, what's this guy know? This dude's psycho. He just cut me off. He just slammed on the brakes. He just ran up to my car with a pistol out. What would that tell a normal person? I'm trying to give you both sides of the argument. A normal person, it would say, hey, this is bad news. I need to stop this. I got to protect myself. But hard stop. Prosecutor and detectives are going to go back. They're going to rewind the tape and they're going to go, what happened 5 minutes before this? What happened 10 minutes before this? When did you two start butting heads like a couple of rams doing your little dick measuring contest? And that's when the ticker tape of facts is going to start. That's when they're going to start to look and see who's right, who's wrong. Be well. Don't be dickheads. Train yourself to a level that you know your capabilities as well as your limitations. In doing so, you are also going to understand the average capabilities of somebody out there, which should give you pause, because you're going to know that, you know what, other people can be out there running these guns as well, learning, practicing, crafting, just like you are. In that as well, develop hard lines when you are home at peace, being clear-headed. decide what level am I willing to go to keep myself safe, and how will I maintain calmness and resolve in moments of high stress, be it in a car wreck, having to do CPR for a loved one, or in violence like we saw in this video. How can I maintain resolve and calmness so that I make good choices? Part of that is going to be coupled to our mindset while we train. Hope this stuff helps. If you guys dig these videos, let's see it in the comments. Hope you guys like and subscribe, because I'm supposed to tell you that, because all the experts say, tell people, like and subscribe. Isn't that what they say? Facta non verba. Deeds, not words, my friends. Deeds, not words. And if you haven't, check out Ignis Deluxe Coffee, and you might as well check out some Gunfighter gun oil too. Bye now. 3 R's stand for reliable, repeatable, robust. Some people hear that, and I often say they think reliable and repeatable are the same thing. Reliable means I can rely on it. Repeatable, I can repeat something that's not good. I differentiate between reliable and repeatable. Let's look at the draw stroke. I need to start out with a good holster, a good belt. I need to have a good functioning pistol. I need the gun placed on my body in a way that I can get good access to it. So that helps me with reliability. Repeatability comes through training. Can I repeat my draw stroke? Can I repeat that draw stroke? Am I developing a master grip, right? And robust. So I could put this gun on me as described. I can develop the ability to get to it as described. But if I've got some poopy grip, is that robust? Is that grip going to help me in violence? Am I going to be able to hang on to that gun and do what needs doing?